everyone, welcome to another episode of the Blind Girl Empowerment Program. So, this is our virtual setting. So, we will be doing all of the videos up here where you can watch it anytime you want, due to the popular demand of people wanting to watch it that are outside of our age limit for our sessions. So, now we have this online so you can watch it anytime, anywhere, with any people and share it and do whatever you want with it. So I am very, very excited to announce that we do have a handbook with all of this coming out fairly soon. So everybody, if you weren't able to watch this video, I've been trying to deal with the closed captions, but it's been kind of difficult when you also can't see the closed captions. So I've been working on a handbook version of this, so that way you can, if you have Usher syndrome or any other impairments that you might need the closed captions for, or you just don't want to listen to me rant for a certain amount of time, we will have that handbook out, and that will be shared around so you can get like the brief summary of how to do this. Or if you're a parent, you can get a brief summary and tools and tricks and everything about how to help your child be successful. I do also want to say that all of these sessions will be at Camp Abilities Brockport this summer, June 25th to July 1st. So all of these sessions will be during camp, so all of your kids can watch it and be there to learn about it and present it, and we'll have little workshops, and it'll be so much fun. So if you are coming to Camp Abilities, you can meet me, and we will have a great time going over some of this stuff, and you get to meet other female athletes and get some perspectives from them. So without further ado, we are going into this topic, which is safety. So as a blind individual, safety is important. And unfortunately, as a female, safety is even more important. Sometimes females are targeted a bit more often than males, and especially when you're blind, you have a bit more of a bigger target on yourself. So I'm not going to sit here and give you all of the tips of how to fend someone off. That is for yourself. If you want to learn about a self-defense with a self-defense class, you can go about that. But I am here to give you some tips and tricks that I use and other ways that you can keep safe and some things to keep in mind. So the first thing I want to talk about is your cell phone. Anybody who is watching this video has either an iPad or a cell phone or something to be in contact with friends and family. So I'm not sure if it's on any other devices, but I know on the iPhone you can share your location with people. So that is one of the biggest things that I always tell people when dealing with safety and going out and doing stuff. As you get older, you're gonna go out, and want to do things with your friends and or significant others or do whatever. And so it's always good just to have some people knowing where your location is in case anything happens, where, if you're over 21 and you want to go to a bar and then you want to go home and there's nobody to bring you home, there's no way to get home, at least you can, have somebody see that your location is and be like, hey, I want to go home, and they can come and get you. Or if you don't feel comfortable in a situation and you don't want to draw attention to yourself, you can kind of just text your friend like, hey, come get me, or your parent, hey, come get me, and they can see exactly where you are. So that is something, I've used it a bunch of times. I've used it especially if I get lost on campus. Happens a lot, where people can just see where I am on campus, and then they can tell me, hey, left, right, forward, back, oh, I see where you are, don't move, I'm going to come get you, which helps a lot. So that is something I would definitely recommend that you have on your phones, and especially just for safety purposes, it gives me peace of mind. I went to Seattle a few weeks ago and I had a bunch of my friends that were in the area that had vision or that lived in the area that also had my locations in case anything at all happened, heaven forbid, anything happened. People knew at all times where I was, what I was doing, and all that stuff. They were able to see everything. So that is one of the biggest things that I like to talk to individuals about having. And this works for females or males. This video is kind of geared towards both because everybody needs to be safe and it can help everybody. So another thing dealing with your phone I want to mention is also having a safe word with your family or friends. So if somebody comes up to you that you don't know, as a blind person, this happens a lot, where people are like, oh, I'm Bob, and I was sent by Sally to come and get you. You can say, okay, you actually weren't. So, or if somebody says, hi, I'm this person and I was sent by your mom or your dad, and you can say, okay. So if you're unsure if it is somebody that actually is in your family or is somebody to come get you and you don't know, you can always ask them, what's the word? What's the word? Or they might come up to you and say like flower, and then like, okay, that person is actually coming for me, that person is actually here for me, and that is good. And I have some people that I do that with, so that way I know legitly that who they are and that they're actually coming. Sometimes if you're in a panic or if you're really anxious about where you are, it's always good just to have that little word, so then okay, this person does, it can kind of bring you back to reality. Oh, that person knows we're good, I'm safe now. And then you can also use that if you feel unsafe in a situation. So some parents might have a safe word that you can just text to them. If you're in a situation that you don't feel comfortable with, if you're at a party, you're at a friend's house and something happens and now you're uncomfortable, but you don't want to like spend all this time texting people with a whole story, you could just say, hey mom, and then just text them flower or whatever, and they'll come and get you. Just a little, safe thing that I have learned over the years and wanted to share. So another thing with your phone that you can do with safety is, I didn't know this until I took a few self-defense classes, but you can also text 911 instead of calling them. So if you feel that somebody's watching you or following you back home, you can always take out your phone and text 911 and be like, hey, I feel like someone's following me. And they can do whatever it goes for that. And so then it's not as obvious. It's more obvious if you take out your phone and you start calling 911, and then they go, 911, what's your emergency? And you start explaining it, and now that person that's following you knows that you called 911 and something else could happen. So it's just more discreet if you just text somebody, hey, text 911 and be like, hey, I feel like somebody's following me, help me out. Or if somebody's in your house and you don't want to talk, you can use your phone and just text 911, hey, someone's in my house. So that is something else that I wanted to share. And let's see, any more electronic ones I have? Yes, so another one is having Apple Watch, if you have an Apple Watch, or any of the other smartwatches, having the safety feature on there that calls 911 if you're in trouble. So I had a moment where I fell off my bike, and my watch detected that I fell and immediately started to call 911. Now it wasn't a major fall, and I had to tell him, I was like, "Oh, I just couldn't get my foot out of the bike fast enough. I'm okay. I'm okay. I promise. I just fell down." And but that's a good safety feature to have if if you're out on a run, if you have low vision, you're able to run by yourself, or if you run with a partner and a car comes and swipes at you, at least your watch will call emergency services, and your watch has a location of where it is, so they can come and find you if something happens. So that's all of the electronic things that I have for you. So now we are going to move on to some other things about safety. So one of the things that I learned with my self-defense class and teaching the blind and visually impaired was about red light, green light, yellow light touches. So when you're standing on a curb and somebody comes up to you and they want to help you, and they just come up and grab you out of nowhere and start dragging you across the street, that might fall under the category of maybe a yellow light touch, because they were trying to help. They didn't mean to do it, but you should also kind of be aware of what they're doing. You have a red light touch, where somebody comes up and grabs you and drags you into some type of situation. You can feel if they grab you, like they're pulling you really, really, really hard, or it's an aggressive grab. That would be kind of a red light grab. And then, a green light grab is like you have a friend and they just kind of lightly grabbed your arm and told you when to go, and you walked across the street. So that's just a brief example of red, yellow, and green light grabs. And it depends on the situation. So red light is something like alert, 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 like something's happening, you need to react. And yellow light would be like something might happen, something might not happen. It might be an accident, it might not be an accident. I should think about it before I act. And then, of course, the green light is we're all good. There's nothing to be concerned about. So I would practice this with your family members or friends and be like, what might be a scenario of a red light, green light, or yellow light touch, just so you know when it comes to it. If it ever comes to it, you know what to do and how to react. And going over safety plans with your family and friends of how you're going to react to it. If you're going to fight back, if you're going to kick and scream and yell, it's always the best thing to do is to yell and try to fight off whoever it is. And that will be all discussed if you take a self-defense class. This is not a self-defense class. This is just some safety tips to think about when you're coming into the real world and doing some live situations, and just some things to think about when you go outside. So the last thing I want to talk about is identification of people. So we talked about using the safe word and detecting people that way, but I also want you to think about detection of people by using your other senses. So if somebody does attack you, you're able to use whatever senses you have to be able to give a description to the police of what happened and who did it. So somebody who with vision can say, oh, they had a tattoo on their forearm, it looked like, it was a tattoo of soup, and they had brown hair and blue eyes and the beard and, all this other stuff. But when you can't see, you can't describe that. So you might be able to say how tall they are. So if they touch you, you can pretty much tell how tall someone is based on how they grab you. So you can say they were tall, they were short, they were taller than me. However you want to do that. And then you can also use different descriptions based on their tone of voice. Was it male, female? Was it, a rough voice? Was it a soft voice? Was it a loud voice? Using that. And then another thing that I do with detecting people, and it's kind of weird, and some friends kind of get weird when I talk about it, is smell. So if you have a certain scent, some people have certain scents. Some people like certain perfumes. Some of my friends have certain perfumes or lotions that they use, and I can tell who they are based on their lotion or scent or laundry detergent, whatever they use. So that could be another thing that you can use when describing an assailant to you, is like, hey, they smelled heavily of smoke, they smelled of beer, they smelled of, whatever. And then hopefully by the time they find them, that might be something they can look for and like, oh yeah, that person really does smell like smoke. They really do smell like beer. And, be able to help find that assailant. So yeah, those are just some brief tips and tricks on how to be safe as a blind person and going around, and just some things to think about and different things like that. These are all things you can work on with your family, talk about with your family and friends, and develop a plan. Because unfortunately, as blind individuals, we do have to overplan everything we go to. We are a bigger target just because we are blind, so people are like, haha, I can get the blind person. But because you watch this, and you might have taken some self-defense classes or have learned more about self-defense, you are going to protect yourself, and you're going to surprise those people that come after you. So, I hope you found this video helpful, and I will see you all next time.